Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello and welcome to the AOR Esports Teams Tournament. It's time for round 2 on the Xbox platform, and we're in China at the Shanghai International Circuit. My name is Justin, and joining me today, it's Diablo.
Hello everybody, welcome back. It was a good race last time out, Bahrain, first round of the season, and round 2 hopefully we'll see a bit more action as well. Vastly dominated by Veloce round 1, so hopefully we see a bit more difference to the pecking.
Yeah, always great to see no one wants to see one team just winning all of the time. That's never exciting. As we are into the lobby now, so let me get that up on your screen so you guys can get as excited as we are about today's race. And I have to admit, I was a bit of a last-minute addition to this broadcast, as I've only finished another broadcast minutes ago, and I am not very well prepared for this one, but I am still very, very excited. We've got 18 minutes of qualifying to do, of course, and it looks like the Ferraris are going to be the first ones out, and it is Kowalski, actually, that is going to be the first one heading out onto this absolutely lovely circuit. And I will be learning some names today, so I apologize if I pronounce anybody's name wrong. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. How competitive was it last time in qualifying, anyway?
Competitive in qualifying. Of course, Bahrain's a very, very different circuit to this one in the sense that I don't know how different, actually, having said that, in terms of the tyre strategies and everything of that sort of variety. We saw a lot of last-minute lap times in qualifying. I think a similar thing happened here today in China, I'm going to be honest. I would like to think so anyway, because the time is amazing around China, but it's definitely one that drivers can always improve upon. Likes of Kowalski and Thrustmaster as well, one of the Ferrari team. Had a solid outing last time out in Bahrain, but you know, there's a few newer faces, I'd say, to the grid here today, with the likes of Reynolds coming back from the Fat Esports team, and we're seeing TRL Button as well for the ERL team, so a couple of new faces. Just to see how they get on tonight.
As Kowalski is coming to the DRS zone now in his Ferrari, and actually I don't think he's gonna bother with it, but he's probably gonna be the first one to set a lap, as everybody is out of the pits already. The vast majority of the 19 drivers heading out, and a lot of them onto the medium tires, and some on the ultra softs as well. We can see the likes of Ivo Kowalski, who we're on board with now, as he opens up the DRS on the rundown towards turn 1 and up into top gear as well, over 200 miles an hour, and getting late onto the brakes, letting the car run out wide, and then finding that second apex. There it is, finally found it, and then switching over to the left-hand side for the left-handers of 3 and 4, and down the medium length straight, running a bit onto the curbing there, staying far to the right, and finding his braking zone for the popular overtaking location of the turn 6 hairpin, and a little bit wide at the exit there. I don't think that was optimal for getting on the throttle coming out of the corner into my absolute favorite part of the circuit. Really love 7 and 8, some of my favorite corners in all of Formula 1, to be totally honest. Just fantastic corners, high speed, left and then a right. Through the double left-handers of 9 and 10 he goes. Another medium length run down towards turn 11, heavy on the brakes, of course. Get the car turned in. Don't let it run too far out wide, though, because you really want to try and get a nice line through 12 and 13 here. And he's done exactly that, and down the very long straight. And it looks like this will be, I don't know if this is going to be a representative time. And indeed, we may see Kowalski back off right at the end in order to not set a fast lap time if he doesn't want to start the race on this set of Ultra Soft. So he might back off. He might dive straight back into the pits, potentially. We can only guess.
Yeah, of course. And we did see in, of course, AORC's team, 16, sorry, my apologies, that Matt 212 decided to go for the the slightly different strategy, decided to go for the fastest tyres. So we may see something like that here again tonight. We may see someone just go, okay, let's put my name in the record books. Let's see if I can get a pole position. Someone may decide to use those shredded ultra soft tyres. There's TR Shaw goes fastest of all so far with a 35. That's quickly beaten by Pietro in the Ferrari, the Italian, in the parenting horse. That is one to what I'm sure. He's a very aggressive driver, Pietro, but there's nothing wrong with that. Restive comes across the line. He goes fast of all then. 32.7. The times are starting to tumble, and all those guys actually set the time on the medium compound time.
Yeah, just 6/100ths actually between Restev and Pietro Mato. Restev is a name that I do know. Of course, some of these drivers race in the Xbox One F1 League in Apex Online Racing, so some of these names are going to be more familiar to me than others, as Apex Leo, who we were riding on board with, goes quite a bit quicker, actually going a full second clear of Restev, dipping into the 131s with a 131.750, so fastest so far, with EVR Reynolds now popping up into the top two, going 7/10 quicker than Restev was able to manage. Let's see if we can maybe find somebody out there who's looking to set a really quick lap. No, I'm on board with Valache Alonso. Doesn't look like he's really on a quick one at the moment. TRL Martin seems to be pushing hard into turn 11 there. So this could be a fast one from the former AOR racer who we used to see on the Xbox platform. No, he is definitely not pushing hard. And then CRG Simon is also out there. In fact, everybody is out on circuit right now, except for just 4 drivers. So we've got 15 cars out on track at the moment. So it is rather busy out there.
Yeah, it is busy. It'll be interesting to see how CRG actually get on today as well, because they did have a good performance in Bahrain, but Evo started from the very back of the field, and he had to make his way up through the pack, managing to finish in the top 6. So he does need a good qualifying here, Evo, just to solidify CRG's position in this championship, and he'll be hoping for that as well. Snazzy Evening goes fastest of all, and his ever-present one-lap pace in abundance here today with a 31.4, some 3/10 faster than that of Apex Leo.
Yeah, doing good to get the McLaren up there. As you said before, though, the times are tumbling, and they will continue to tumble. But, oh, wow. One of the Williams cars getting nicely out of the way there for CRG Simon. And Simon running very, very wide at the exit of turn 10. And down towards turn 11 he comes in that Renault. And looks like a nice line through there, through the increasing radius corners of 12 and 13, and onto the very long DRS straight for the Renault driver. And he's in full ERS deployment, or at least he was. He's dropped that down to 4. DRS wing open now. And will we see CRG Simon threatening the top times on this set of mediums? Currently showing the fitted compounds, but we can see here everybody in the top 9 has set their times on the medium compounds as well. Final corner for CRG Simon. Decent exit, staying to the right-hand side, and it is going to be enough for second fastest. A 131.428, but crucially a couple hundredths off of Snazzy Evening. That's a fantastic username.
It is fantastic. He has to put in some fantastic performances as well, Snazzy, who really has come out in the box of late, and many people renew him as, well, the one-lap pace benchmark. He has got some fantastic pace over one lap, and proving it once again there with a 31.1. Again, some 3/10 faster than CRG Simon. Martin's moved himself into P3, the Season 10 champion, so he'll be happy with that, but he'll keep on his merry way. He's done 3 laps on those medium tyres, just getting used to the track. It's going to improve the track evolution as his qualifying session progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. Less than 10 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, so we might see some soft runners starting to come out. And in fact, Clays in the Williams has fitted a set of soft, and so has the other Williams of Shaw, actually. So the 2 Williams cars feeling the need to switch over to the softs, as Alonso feels the need to switch over to the right-hand side of the circuit in order to avoid that Toro Rosso. And I'm not seeing any changes in the top 3 as far as the timings are concerned. At the moment, it is still ESR Amazed bringing up the rear with that 133.5. I'm sure that's not a representative time for him, though. I'm sure that'll probably that'll improve for him. Restev still down there as well with that 132.798. It seems a number of drivers, such as Velace Alonso, actually, who we're on board with now, just going out and just setting lap after lap. Clearly, they're fat with fuel and just running around, getting a feeling for the circuit, putting that rubber down, and doing their best to set themselves up for success later on in the session, as we've got yellow flags out right around Sector 1, Sector 2. So that's around Turn 6, where Sector 1 becomes Sector 2. So something may have gone on there as the times continue to come in, though. But again, still nobody really threatening the top 3. It is still Snazzy Evening at the top with the 131.1, Apex Zero 31.3, and Simon with the 31.4. But as I mentioned before, people starting to come out on the softs. The 2 Williams cars are going to be the ones to watch at the moment. Shaw is still in the pits, and so is Clay. So ESR Amazed has also fit the softs, but is also still in the pit. So no soft runs just yet.
No, none just yet. I'll be surprised to see any soft runs, really, with over 5 minutes to go. I mean, some might decide to do, because the track's be that little bit more quiet. So they may get their optimal runs then. Interesting if they did. But there's still a few big hitters who haven't set any times at all, the likes of the Evo and Veloce Surprise as well. Neither have set a lap. Veloce Surprise took pole last time out in Bahrain, so we know how quick that man is. There's no doubt his pace. So those soft top tyres, I'm sure he'll be towards the front, bar any mistakes, of course. He'll be towards the front of the field. There's a few cars out on circuit, but I think they're all just coming in to the pits to bolt on those soft tyres.
Yep, they are indeed. We can see more and more of those yellow soft compounds showing up in the timing screen up at the top left side of the screen. On board with EBR Reynolds, one of the top split Xbox One drivers in Apex Online Racing. And as you mentioned, Evo, and so as Reynolds actually moves up into P7 with a 31.8, less than 7/10 adrift of the time set by Snazzy Evening. And John Salonika is out on an outlap on the Ultra Softs, interestingly, with just under 7 minutes remaining. So he is opting for the quickest of the 3 compounds as it stands right now. But yeah, as you mentioned, Evo and Surprise, definite heavy hitters. They're a couple of names that I'm very familiar with on a Sunday in Apex Online Racing. And as of late, Surprise has been the quicker of the 2. But then, of course, Evo won the championship rather early in the season, so we don't know if he's just kind of maybe backed off a little bit, and that's given Surprise a bit of an edge later on in the season. But very, very evenly matched drivers, as I imagine many of the drivers in this league are.
Very sort of, I'd say, different characteristics between those two as well. Evo's very, very good on his tyres, as we know. He's the tyre master in many ways. You will not find, maybe on the whole game, I don't think you'll find a driver as good on his tyres as CRG Evo. He is simply stunning on how he can master that. But we're now surprised as well. He just has that ruthless edge sometimes. A bit of Bruce will go for an overtake if he needs to. Will Surprise, and yeah, it's a great combination of those two. And be interested to see what they're like next season in AOR, if they nip and tuck throughout the entire season. But it'll be also interesting to see. This is almost like a walk, because this is a big competition for them. It'd be interesting to see how they get on when the stakes are high in a tournament like this as well, between those two.
Yeah, as I've switched over to TR Clays, who is one of the guys that's going for the softs towards the closing stages of this qualifying session, and it looks like he's going to be the first one to set his time on the softs. Yes, that is exactly right. Nobody has set their fastest lap on a set of soft tires just yet. Through 12 and 13 he goes. It hasn't looked like the best lap, if I'm totally honest, from Clays. It looked a bit scrappy in Sector 2. Not the cleanest of sectors, certainly. DRS is open for the Williams, getting into the braking zone now for the hairpin of turn 14. Just a couple of corners. What's that?
Yeah, he's gone too deep going into the hairpin there. He's all over the shop. If this is his soft lap, it's maybe not a bit of a scruffy one. He comes towards the final corner, very oversteer out the final corner. He done exactly what Giovinazzi did, and only moves himself into 5th place.
Yeah, I don't think that was a very good lap from him. So I'm gonna reserve judgment on that one. He's still got plenty of time to make his way back into the pits and set another fit another set of tires as well. So I don't think he's necessarily out of this session just yet. But let's go on board actually with Snazzy Evening, who was the quickest on the medium tires. He's currently on his outlap as it stands right now, as is second position MX Apex Zero as well, currently on his outlap. Simon's still in the pits as it stands right now, as is his teammate Evo. And Surprise still in the pits as well, too. Surprise is one that likes to spring a surprise, no pun intended, towards the end of the qualifying session. He tends to be the type of guy that just kind of stays in the garage, comes out right at the end, and then, well, he tries to blitz it, but he's had problems with last-minute qualifying in the past before. But I think whatever problem he was having at the time with that, he's probably sorted out, because once again, clearly, he's just waiting till the end. And he is out, actually, now. And he's running in close formation with his teammate, Valache Alonso, as well, too. So both of the Alfa Romeos out there on circuit at the moment, running very close to one another. But Snazzy Evening is coming to the end of his outlap, doing a bit of weaving on the DRS straight. And then I believe as we get to 3 minutes remaining now in this qualifying session, we will be starting to see these times really start to come down with all these soft runners. And look at that, almost everybody's on the softs.
Yeah, everyone darting onto those soft tires. It's happy. This is what this mode is best known as. A Snazzy Evening begins his lap in the McLaren and darting down towards turn one. This corner goes on forever. It really does just string on so long. You just got to almost fully rotate the car as well, almost 360 degrees through then as you flick it through turn 2 and turn 3 and turn 4 as well on the exit as he heads down now towards turn 5, the kink, and turn 6, as you say, a very good place to make overtakes in this Grand Prix. And nailing it, really. Lock his front wheel, which is interesting. Turn 7 and 8 as well. These are fantastic. 2011, we saw some fantastic passes. Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel all those years ago now. That's 8 years ago. It's quite scary. But he's now coming towards that infield section, the middle part of the circuit. This part is very difficult on traction. These guys really do struggle with the rear end coming through here, especially when it's off like you see now, coming up slightly up the hill. And then you just got to hug this inside curve like it's your favourite granny. Don't really want to run it too wide through it. And it's an absolute long old run down to the penultimate corner. Again, another fantastic place to make overtakes in this Grand Prix. DRS wide open, of course. Let's see what Snazzy Evening is able to do. How late does he dag on the brakes? Just after the 100 metre ball, throwing the car in and clips the apex nicely there. Picture Mato goes fast as the ball in the Ferrari. But what can the McLaren do here then? Snazzy Evening for AOR comes up towards the line. Can he improve on his 131.1? Yes, he can, to a 130.4. And that's a good benchmark for McLaren. Let's see how others fare.
Yep, he doesn't have enough time to set another lap, so that is going to be the final lap from Snazzy Evening. Let's find somebody. CRG Simon is pretty close to the end of the lap, just making his way into Sector 3 right now in the Renault, so we will continue to monitor all of the times as they come in, though. But Kowalski and Pietro Amato as well, dipping into the 130s, are almost, in the case of Pietro Amato, very, very close, just 24 thousandths of a second, as EVR Reynolds now moves up into third position with that 130.8, and that is going to be the end of his qualifying session. Final couple of corners for CRG Simon now. Again, a little bit of a lockup, but that's not too much of an issue, as Valache Surprise now goes quickest of all, 130.323, about a tenth and a half quicker than Snazzy Evening. And here comes CRG Simon. It's not quick enough. He's only 2/100ths quicker than Snazzy Evening, and Evo slots himself between Surprise and Simon. Wow, Surprise, Evo, and Simon on the are the top three as it stands right now, which definitely looks a little bit like the Sunday League that I broadcast. Definitely used to seeing those three names near the top of the timing sheets, but we'll continue to watch. Pietro Mato is not going to... Oh, he did actually make it in time. Yeah, he did not see the checkered flag, so he can go on for one more lap if he wants to do that. MX Apex Zero, though, has seen the checkered flag, as has ESR Amaze. Those two guys are not going to do any better than 9th and 12th, respectively. TRL Button not setting a time, interestingly enough.
Yeah, that is interesting. But Alonso actually, you feel, overfueled his car that little bit more, just maybe to help his team out with a bit of tow, perhaps. And his teammate's going to return the favour. If you're right on board with Veloce Alonso here, you can see the Veloce boys really working in tandem. Alonso giving him, well, surprise, giving Alonso the tow as they come down this long back straight here. Look how cunning that is from the Veloce boys. And you can see Alonso getting on his merry way and down in towards the penultimate corner. And let's see then where Alonso will go.
Yep, he's coming to the end right now. And where is he going to finish? Final corner for the Alfa Romeo. Nicely through there, looking very tidy, staying to the right-hand side, of course. And it's only 6th quickest, actually. A 1:30.6 for Veloce Alonso. Moves himself up ahead of most Ronan. And on the 3rd row of the grid as it stands right now. Most of the cars have found the checkered flag, though. It is the end of the session for the vast majority of drivers. Ronan still out there. Pietro Mato as well coming into the final corner. And this is his 2nd timed lap on this set of tires. So where is he going to go? And he doesn't improve on that lap. So it is going to be 5th row of the grid for Pietro Mato as it stands right now. And I believe Ronan is the only one still out, and he makes his way into the pits. So that's going to do it. Veloce Surprise takes pole position with the 2 Renaults just nipping at his heels. CRG Evo and CRG Simon very close, within 0.2 of the time set by Surprise. Snazzy Evening as well within 0.2, and Kowalski as well, exactly 0.2, in fact, adrift of Veloce Surprise. In the end, that tow on the DRS straight just not quite enough for Veloce Alonso, could only manage P6 in qualifying. Then the Toro Rosso of most Ronan in 7th, EVR Reynolds in 8th, Pietro Mato, MX Apex 0. Outside the top 10, it is the Williams of TR Shaw, RSR Restev, ESR Amazed, MX Apex Leo, TRL Martin way down in 15th position in that Mercedes. So a few surprising names down at the back, but a few very not surprising names up the top of the timing sheets.
Yeah, it was to be expected that some of those guys done pretty well. I think Alonso will be a little bit disappointed with only a 3rd row start, but a much better day in the office for the CRG team. They'll be mighty pleased with that, with Evo on the front row after his woes in Bahrain, only starting last there, about 2nd ahead of his teammate Simon this week, I should say. So that'll be interesting to see how those get on. But a flurry of Italians in the top 10 as well, with Kalowski, most Ronan, Pitromato, all potting in towards the top 10. So a good session for all of those guys. Interesting to see how the race fares, though. Not very long run down to turn. And Evo knows it. He's going to have to make the most of that start against Veloce Surprise.
Not a very heavy braking zone into turn 1, and I imagine it's not really a braking zone until you're 3/4 of the way through the corner at the start of the race, on account of just having less speed coming into it. So it is looking rather overcast, rather smoggy. In fact, it's looking more like Hong Kong than the Shanghai International Circuit. It is looking rather gray out there, you have to say. So I wonder if we're going to be on for any sort of precipitation in this race. Assuming that precipitation is something that's actually allowed in the race. I assume that they haven't just set it to dry weather.
Of course.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. But yeah, looking forward to this one. Looking forward to this. As you said, into turn 1, it's going to be pretty hectic.
It should be. I think it will be pretty hectic as well. That, as you say, that breaking point for turn 1 is very late on. Like you're constantly rotating the car, of course, through turn 2 as well. So actually, it's really the best estimate you're going to get is through turn 3. You can keep your car on the outside into turn. You find yourself with a little bit of a helping hand in towards the next that follow. But it really is. I think the launch is quite crucial around here, especially so. So let's just see what Surprise and Evo get up to. Well, the first couple of laps at least. The formation lap.
Yep, the formation lap is underway, so we have one more opportunity for all of you viewers to just remind yourselves of the grid and where people are starting. Just to round out my summary, I stopped at TRL Martin. TR Clays in the Williams is in 16th position. John Salonika in the end only managing 17th position on the 9th row of the grid alongside Frentzen. And again, TRL Button not setting a time in qualifying, so bringing up the rear of this 19-car grid. And that is That is that's a lot of cars to try and overtake in order to get into the points for TRL Button. So he's going to be struggling, as we can see. Surprise, getting very aggressive with the throttle coming out of turn 6, and a bit of a drift going on as well too. And let's get all the telemetry up and everything like that. TRL Martin seems to be having some sort of connection issue. I think we lost him, and then he was back, and now we've lost him again. So unfortunate for TRL Martin. Hopefully he gets back in time for the race. But already almost done with Sector 2 for the opening part of this race. Let's go ahead and pick a name. Out of the top 5, who do you think is going to be leading the race come, I don't know, turn 6?
I'm going to put my money, I'm going to put my money very boldly on CRG Simon. So there's my thoughts. But also an interesting one, Justin. 2 cars in this 19 field decide to start the hardest compound tyre, the medium compound tyre. They are the Haas of MX Apex Leo and John Zananika as well in the Red Bull. So let's see what they're going to be up to as this race progresses. It's going to go a lot longer as well. So their starts are crucial as well. They cannot afford to lose any sort of winglets, any sort of front wing in the opening lap of this race.
Surprise again doing some. He's desperately trying to warm up these tires, and I think that involves just sliding the car through as many corners as possible. But you have to admire Surprise's dedication to tire warm up on the formation lap here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna bet on Evo actually on leading. So we've each picked a Renault that we think is going to be leading the race after lap 1, which is maybe a bit unfair on Surprise, because Surprise is an absolutely incredible driver. Over the last 10 races in Apex Online Racing, he's actually outscored CRG Evo, our Season 16 champion. But here we go to the grid now. The lights are coming on. Surprise on pole. Evo alongside him on the front row. We've got 5 lights. Ready or not, here they come, and they're away, and it looks like a good start for Evo. Is he going to be alongside, or is Surprise going to cut him off? He does. Surprise chops him off, gets to the inside line, nearly making contact with Evo. Snazzy Evening already moving up the inside, actually, on CRG Simon, who drops down a position. Velache Alonso making up a position on Kowalski. He's going to go around the outside of turn 3 as well, too. That's a Mercedes way off. I think that was EVR Reynolds. Yeah, he's going to be off into the gravel. A bit of contact as well. There's another... No, I'm sorry, that wasn't Reynolds. That was the other Mercedes. I apologize about that. Into turn 6, 3 wide, and then 3 wide again. Oh, more contact, but it looks like most of the drivers are going to come out perfectly fine there. Seems somebody is having some serious lag issues. I hope it's not me. But Alonso has actually lost positions in all of that. It looked like he was going to get by Kowalski, but then possibly just all of the mayhem that was going on has seen him drop down 2 positions. He's now down into 8th. ESR Amaze gaining 3 positions. John Salonika on those medium tires up into 12th. 5 positions gained for him already.
Yeah, great start from John Zananika. It's an interesting start from Alonso. He's lost ground off the start, as you say, which isn't the start he'll be hoping for, but most Ronan gains a couple of places, as does Reynolds and Kowalski as well. And Surprise was actually weaving down that back straight. He had a pretty good launch, to be fair. He cut off Evo immediately into turn 1, and that allowed the space for 4th place on the grid, Snazzy Evening, to find his way through. He nearly took Evo with him into turn 6. Couldn't quite get that move done through there, and it stays as it was. A surprise from Evo, from Snazzy Evening, from Simon Kowalski, Reynolds, most Ronan Alonso. He's starting to challenge up behind most Ronan, then Apex, Zero, and Resty rounds out the top 10.
Yep, that's how it's looking after the first lap is completed. No DRS just yet, of course. Restev and Amazed looking like they were going to do some battling there, but I think Restev has got it. No, actually, he doesn't. Amazed coming back at him, actually. He'll try it around the outside of turn 3. Nope, that's not going to work. Restev's going to hold on to that position. Let's move back up to the front leading guys as they all make their way into that turn 6 hairpin for the second time in this Chinese Grand Prix. Snazzy Evening, again, very quick on 1-lap pace. Already gaining a position, though, moving himself up into the podium places already. But CRG Evo is right onto the back of Velache Surprise, already applying lots and lots of pressure to this Alfa Romeo. Again, no DRS just yet. Through the double left-handers they go. Picks up a bit of dirty air. He's going to lose a little bit of time. Picks up the slipstream now, though, on the run down towards turn 11 and gets very, very close to the back of that Alfa Romeo indeed. And will it be enough with just the slipstream here? We'll stay on board with Evo, actually, because he's actually the guy that's closest out of everybody to the car in front. And Surprise is one of the few people that does not have Slipstream at the moment. And here we go. He is going to have the overspeed to move alongside. Surprise is defending the inside line. CRG Evo's a bit later on the brakes, though. He's going to go around the outside surprisingly well, actually. But it looks like Surprise has got a bit better exit. Possibly some more ERS usage from Evo to try and pull alongside, side by side through the final corner. That's very likely to end in tears. Let's go on board with Snazzy Evening. He's got a front row seat to this incredible battle, but he doesn't want a front row seat. He wants to be on the stage, almost 3 wide between himself, Surprise, and Evo. Evo's trying to go around the outside, but Surprise just keeps defending the inside line for all of these corners and then closes the door into turn 3. Fantastic racing from these three.
It is fantastic to see, and Evo getting aggressive as well. You don't often see it from the German, but he pulls out the bag when he needs to there, and damn well nearly did. In towards the final couple of corners, and Surprise has locked his wheels into turn 6, and somehow Evo hasn't got any sort of damage on the front wing of that Renault car, or the CRG car, we should say, and stays behind Surprise for now. But with DRS, just how effective is that going to be? Because that long right-hander beforehand, they're just going to be really eking out those front tyres, and you're going to really feel the effects of dirty air through there. It's crucial that Evo gets a good run coming out that long right-hander towards the back straight.
Yep, and yeah, as you mentioned, that's an incredibly, probably the most important couple of corners is 12 and 13 to get a good run through there. That's a bad camera shot for trying to keep an eye on what's going on as we switch back on board with Snazzy Evening. He has dropped off the back of Evo a little bit. Here we go with Evo with DRS, of course, as well, too. Here comes the DRS line now. The rear flap opens for the Renault. He's going to be closing on Surprise. Which way is Surprise going to go? He's going to stay to the right-hand side. He's going to defend the inside line. Evo's going to try to round the outside once again. It's a carbon copy move compared to what we saw on the previous lap. Exact same thing. Surprise gets the better exit, but this time Evo is not alongside, actually, through the final corner, which could mean that he's going to have enough straight line speed, is Surprise, in order to fend off Evo, the German right behind him, again with the DRS open, but it's not quite enough, nearly making contact with the back end of that Alfa Romeo, and it looks like Surprise has gone a bit deep. Evo's trying to come back at him around the outside of turn 3, but no, it's not quite worked out for him. And Evo's got to be very, very cautious here because, of course, if he makes any sort of overtake attempt that doesn't work, that's going to very quickly drop him into the clutches of Snazzy Evening, Simon, and Kowalski.
Yeah, Kowalski's sticking with them as well. The top 6 aren't really leaving each other at all. They're not leaving each other any breathing space. They're just so on each other's necks at the moment. It's crazy to see. But yeah, Evo really is getting a move on, isn't he? He really is. Don't know what the CRG boys would have told him before the start of this race, but as I just said, go full ham, just go for it. And he's definitely doing that. And let's see what the German can do once again. A bit of DRS down that back straight. Just needs that run. Needs to get the car in the correct position, almost as tight as you possibly can through this long right-hander. He needs to nail it as well. He just doesn't seemingly have it there, but you know, his run's good enough. He's going to have a chance here against Surprise as they enter towards the final couple of corners of this racetrack. Let's see then. Towards the hairpin, Evo once again moves to the outside. Surprise giving him no space on that inside, which may be favoured for him, but Evo darting around the outside again. Can't quite get the move done, and the Renault sits in behind that Alfa Romeo.
What an incredible defensive drive we're seeing from Surprise here. I mean, it's very rare that you see Simon Evo struggling to try and get past somebody, especially for the number of laps that we've seen. I mean, this has been going on really since lap 2, really since lap 1, if we're totally honest, but lap 2 was really when he started making those overtake attempts into the turn 14 hairpin. That's now 3 times that he's tried to go around the outside at turn 14, and it's just not working out for him, unfortunately. It's also not putting him under any threat, though. He hasn't lost any positions, obviously, as a result of these overtake attempts, so he's not necessarily losing out. But oh, EVR Reynolds has actually managed to get by Kowalski. Simon's dropped back as well, too. Was that an issue between Kowalski and Simon, I wonder, that allowed EVR Reynolds to move up into 4th, but that's given a healthy gap between the top 3 and the next 3.
Absolutely, it must have been around the final couple of corners of the track, to be honest, because I don't recall seeing Simon actually that far down going into the final few corners. You can see Simon going a bit deep there. Kowalski actually allowing Simon through. Maybe there was an incident between those two. There's a move going on. The Haas diving up the inside. Sorry, this Alfa Romeo, it's Alonso, who's got past, I think that's Apex Zero. He's overtaken them. Most Ronan on the attack as well. All sorts of action going on down the field. It's side by side by so many cars. But the top 2 are also in close combat, because here goes Evo again on the outside of Surprise. And once again, he's having the long way round. He just can't get it done at the moment, Evo. But he's sticking the car in the same place is unsurprised. All of this action up behind them is crazy.
Surprise definitely had porridge for breakfast today, I would reckon to say. But the fastest lap actually goes to Snazzy Evening, as let's go on board with Evo once again. He's going to try to round the outside at turns 1 and 2. They're still side by side, the Renault and the Alfa Romeo. A bit of contact between the two of them, and that's exactly what I was talking about. That nearly put him under attack from Snazzy Evening. He almost dove up the inside through turn 2, around the outside at turn 3. It is still very, very close between all of these guys. Kowalski right onto the back of CRG Simon as well, too, on the rundown towards turn 6. So clearly that position is still up for debate, as Valache Alonso earlier regaining one of the 2 positions that he lost at the start of this race. So he could certainly get himself back involved in this as well, too, could Valache Alonso. It looks like actually Amazed is very close to making an overtake here on Most Ronan Ronan. No, he's actually dropped back while I was switching between the two. Down the medium length straight on the rundown towards turn 11 here. No overtake attempts for any of the top 3. EVR Reynolds has actually broken the DRS to CRG Simon. So EVR Reynolds now finds himself in a little bit of a buffer zone where he's got more than a second ahead and more than a second behind as well.
Absolutely right he is. And those top 3, once again, weaving to the defensive line is surprised because he knows he's under attack from the Renault of Evo. Evo has to go on the inside of him. He cannot keep trying this outside line because eventually it may work, but it's not working out just yet. He needs to force the issue, really does Evo, to get this overtake done towards the final couple of corners. I think Kalowski's actually just got back past Simon for 5th place there. So the Ferrari back ahead of the CRG of Simon, who's ahead in turn of Alonso. And here goes Evo again on the outside into turn 1. Couldn't quite get the move done. He'll have to try the switch back through turn 2. And that will become the outside for turn 3. It's not the place you really want the car for Evo, and he just can't get this move done on the Welshman, who's defending for all of his might at the moment. Clash of the Titans. It's brilliant to see these two racing in such hard wheel-to-wheel combat.
Apex Zero trying to find a way past Most Ronan Ronan. We switched over to him briefly before. Is he going to try a dive bomb up the inside into turn 6? No, he is not. Manages to avoid the back end of that Toro Rosso, but quite a gaggle of cars going on here for 8th position behind Most Ronan Ronan. And really, Most Ronan Ronan is also right behind CRG Simon as well, too. This is essentially a battle for 5th position as Kowalski leads this train. Let's switch back over to the leading cars, though, because they're about to get into the final parts of this lap, and we might see another overtake attempt from CRG Evo. And I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction here. Surprise is going to defend the inside line into the hairpin at turn 14. I know it's a bold prediction, but I'm going to go ahead and say it.
I think you might be a little bit right there, Justin. You might want to put your house on that because it's certainly what he is doing. And let's see if Evo can get on the outside of him. This time he just needs to get that run. Look at him. He's got that front nose just ahead of the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo holding firm, not allowing him to get that position. He really is just doing everything in his power as the Welshman to hold on here. And once again, where does Evo put this car? He could put it on the outside, but he knows it's going to be inside for the next corner, and you know Surprise is going to defend against it. It's just, can he get him alongside him? He really ideally just needs that sort of switchback. He needs the momentum going down towards turn 6. It looks like he's got a good old drive going out of turn 2. He's squabbling, and there goes Snazzy Evening up the inside. And he's got the move done on the Renault, has he? No, they're side by side, and it looks like the Renault stays ahead for now.
Yeah, only just, though. Less than a car length between them on the rundown towards turn 6. Up the inside goes Snazzy Evening. He's going to be late enough on the brakes. Makes a bit of contact with the Renault. No carbon fiber being shed from either of the cars. EVR Reynolds is well and truly locked into this battle now, as well as these guys keep going side by side through turns 14 and into turn 1 as well, too. So that's brought the Mercedes of EVR Reynolds back into this race. I'm going to try not to stay on board with Reynolds for too long because he seems to be the one that's lagging the most for me. So we'll go on board with Snazzy Evening. He's within 4/10 of CRG Evo as they get to the second DRS detection line there at the apex or so of turn 12. Through the increasing radius corner of turn 13, you can see Evo going a bit wide there, possibly picking up a bit of dirty air effect. As Valache Alonso picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's really not what he would have wanted in this race. He has built over a 1-second gap down to MX Apex Zero, or CRG Simon as it was, but Simon has actually lost the position to MX Apex Zero. So Simon's now lost 5 positions in this race. He's down, started from 3rd. He's now down to 8th as Snazzy Evening becomes the first to come into the pits for the leading cars.
There goes.
Oh.
Evo, he's on the outside into turn 1, and looks like Evo's got the better run here. Has he? Goodness me! Oh, he's a bit touchy, he's a bit sideways. Somehow those guys keep it together. Goodness me, Evo had a great chance there. He was trying to slingshot around the outside, but where you have the outside line there, if you're too wide, you're losing all sorts of grip. And that's exactly what happened to the Renault there. He just couldn't keep the car in a straight line. And, well, just loses out to the Welshman of surprise for now. But Reynolds is doing a fine job. If he can just stick with these guys, and he's got a chance, and maybe an undercut is what Snazzy Evening's trying here, which may work in his favour. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely going to be keeping an eye on this as really that gap has increased now from EVR Reynolds down to Kowalski. It's now 2.3 seconds between the leading trio. It would have been a quartet, but Snazzy Evening coming into the pits at the end of lap 8, which means you would assume he is going to the end on a set of mediums. He has indeed fitted a set of the medium compound tires, so he'll be going for a 20-lap stint there. Valache Alonso, I think, is closer to the back. I'm keeping an eye on that gap between Evo and Surprise, but I think Alonso is the man on the move here, actually, as he just breezes by Kowalski. Really made that look very easy, but Kowalski coming back at him, actually, at the exit of turn 14 through turn 15, but no, Alonso stays ahead for now. Into the final corner. Does either of them pit? Nope. They both stay out for another lap on the soft compound tires. DRS open now for Kowalski as CRG Simon and Most Ronin trading positions again in this race. Around the outside for the Ferrari, but nope, that's not going to work. We've seen before how going around the outside at turn 1 isn't the easiest thing to do.
It's not easy, but I think at least this track you can see now has plenty of places to make overtakes. It's not just the hard braking zones. People are giving it a good go around the outside of some very long corners, and that is a big feature of this the Shanghai International Circuit. It's just the amount of long corners you find around here, and people are really giving it a good go, trying to make every inch possible of this racetrack into an overtaking opportunity. It's great to see. But actually Simon's coming to the pits as well now for CRG, and he's already been jumped by Snazzy Evening, who's on turn, looking behind the Williams of Clays already. So he's on a charge with Snazzy Evening on those medium tyres.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to want to get held up by Clays, though. Oh, as Evo is so close to the back of Surprise through turn 12. I was commenting on the Simon and Snazzy Evening and Clays and all that, and then all of a sudden I look at the cars on track, and there's Evo right up to the back, and here we go with the DRS, with the slipstream, with the overspeed. Is he finally going to do it? He does. He finally manages to get the exit that he needed. Oh, but he's gone very deep into the turn 14 hairpin. That's going to allow the Alfa Romeo to come back at him, but no, can't quite put his front wing alongside the Renault as Evo comes into the pit. Surprise is going to follow him, as is EVR Reynolds. Let's see if Valache Alonso stays out. He does indeed, and as does Kowalski, MX Apex 0. And I think Most Ronin is going to stay out as well. Yep, that was the other Ferrari of Pietro Mato peeling off into the pits as well. So lots of cars coming into the pits at the end of lap 10. They'll be going for an 18-lap stint on the medium compound tires, and we'll see how they come, where the leading trio here, Alonso, Kowalski, and I guess now MX Apex 0.
Snazzy Evening's jumped them.
Oh!
Snazzy Evening's jumped all of them. He's ran the outside of Evo into turn 1, and Snazzy Evening takes, in essence, the lead of this Chinese Grand Prix. Brilliant stuff from the young Finn, and gets ahead of CRG Evo.
Nice. Very nice stuff. Well spotted there. I'm glad you saw it, because I just caught the end of that battle. But yeah, Snazzy Evening. He's also got the warmer tires as well, too. It could be a problem towards the tail end of the race, as you mentioned earlier, and I can attest that you were 100% right about that. CRG Evo is a very kind driver when it comes to taking care of his tires. He's very, very good at that sort of thing. So Evo could be biding his time here, potentially just hoping that Snazzy Evening is going to just wear his tires out by the end of the race, because, of course, he is on 2-lap older tires compared to Evo. But he's almost already broken the DRS. Let's see if Evo can keep it within 1 second. It's just about 0.94 or so as they come across the DRS line. And no, I don't think he got it. He didn't. So Snazzy Evening takes the effective lead of the race and breaks the DRS to Evo.
What's even more interesting, look how much time Surprise lost to all those guys in the pits.
Yeah.
He's actually behind Reynolds. He's lost so much time. And he's having to get past Clays now as Surprise. This is where you'll see Surprise in its element. Has to go for it now. in that Alfa Romeo, and he really does as well, because he's got one hell of a task ahead of him. Has to get past Reynolds, has to get past Evo, has to get past Snazzy Evening. And we've seen in this Grand Prix so far, penalties have been a slight warrant, so it could be a chance of maybe one of these top three breaking into those penalties. I wouldn't expect Evo to. We know what he's like on that kind of thing. But yeah, and actually Alonso comes out behind his teammate Surprise as well. So interesting to see if they decide to work in tandem.
As Evo has closed back in to Snazzy Evening. He's back within that DRS range. I didn't see if he got it on the main straight or not, but as you mentioned, Surprise does feed out ahead of Alonso, and with a pretty healthy gap down to his teammate as well, too, about 2.4 seconds as it stands right now. So the two Alfa Romeos running in 6th and 7th with a bit of a gap between them. Apex 0 right onto the back of Alonso as well, too. Kowalski not far off. Kowalski's another one that really seems to have kind of lost out during this pit stop phase. John Salonika is now leading with Apex Leo. Of course, they started on the medium compound tires, but it's only 5 seconds down to Snazzy Evening. So they're definitely pretty far down as far as that's concerned. They will be able to fit a set of these soft tires at the end, of course, which will give them some opportunities. But it's proving more difficult to overtake here than you might expect with the long DRS straight. And actually, Alonso, Surprise didn't get the DRS off Reynolds there.
No, but Evo got very close to passing Snazzy Evening into the braking zone there, and now Snazzy Evening is going to do exactly what he's rehearsed it. He's seen the rehearsals in many ways. He's seen Surprise defend like an absolute banzai into that long hairpin corner, and here goes Evo then on the outside into turn 1. Looks like he's got the move done this time, and Evo does shoot around the outside. And can he keep the lead of this one? He's got a nose ahead. It's close between these two, and I think the Renault may have just got it. Indeed he has, and CRG Evo takes the lead back from Snazzy Evening, and that is something that he'll be mighty chuffed with, because now he's got a buffer to his real rival in Surprise behind.
Yeah, he sure does. Snazzy Evening just didn't have the pace. He broke away, probably used a lot of ERS, I would assume, in doing so. But Evo just reeled him back in and managed to make his way past his RSR. Restev, unfortunately, retiring from the race. That's going to be the end of his day today. Rapidly approaching the halfway point of the race now, as Snazzy Evening looks to really just keep up with Evo, I have to assume at this point. Again, he's got 2 lap older tires compared to the Renault in front of him. And Evo is very, very kind on his tires, especially when he's not forced to run in dirty air, which he is not doing at the moment. He's got about 4 seconds until they get to the back of MX Apex Leo. And with the difference in tire life, once he does catch the back of that Haas, I imagine he's going to make rather quick work of Apex Leo. So I don't think Evo is too concerned. And really, he didn't even have to defend the inside line coming into turn 14, which is exactly what you want there, because when you start defending the inside line into corners, you start losing time, and that brings more cars up behind you. So that's exactly what Evo wants. He wants to stay ahead of Snazzy Evening, and he wants to avoid any sort of defensive maneuvers.
Yeah, and a statement of intent there from Evo. Set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 33.7 on medium compound tyres. Not bad at all from the Renault driver. But he's got now, well, we've just got past half distance of this Grand Prix, so they're still going to have to keep on these tyres until the very end of this, as we know. So there is a lot of time management that will go into it, especially for the likes of Snazzy, as you say, who's already been on his tyres since lap 9. So he's got some task ahead of him. He needs to keep Reynolds behind, who is losing touch with, let's say, the top 2. They're 1.8 seconds behind Snazzy Evening McLaren.
Yeah, he's doing his best to keep up with the back of Evo, but he is losing time as the laps tick down. He's run a bit wide at the exit of turn 10 there. That's going to lose him another half a tenth or so as they get into the braking zone for turn 11. Evo is going to be, I think, comfortably ahead of the McLaren come the end of this DRS straight. EVR Reynolds with a 2-second gap to the cars up ahead does have Veloce Surprise pretty close behind him. So we'll be keeping an eye on that one as well, too. DRS open for Snazzy Evening. No, he definitely does not have the overspeed in order to close that up. But let's see if Surprise does. Actually, he's going to breeze right on by EVR Reynolds there with so much more top speed up the inside, down to first gear, and up into 5th position for Veloce Surprise. But, of course, that is a net 3rd position once John Salonika and Apex Leo come into the pits. And there's another fastest lap of the race for CRG Evo. Immediately displaced, though, by Veloce Surprise. Let's take a quick look and see what the gap is between Evo and Surprise. At the moment, it is about 3.6 seconds, 3.5 seconds. That's a pretty tall order for Surprise to close that gap, overtake Snazzy Evening, and to overtake Evo all within 14 laps.
It is, but if Snazzy Evening can keep within DRS of Evo, then actually I think he's got a chance because they'll constantly be tussling. Although it's not going to really see them going side by side. The fact that he's still there, Snazzy Evening, he's proving to be that buffer, which Evo just can't break. Evo needs to break away from Snazzy before he can even think about Surprise. That is kind of crucial in this race. He just has to pull away from Snazzy Evening, and mistakes like that from the McLaren will mean that, well, Evo's life is going to be that little bit easier. But if he can stick with him, that McLaren could really hit in the Grand Prix of CRG Evo.
Without question. He is the main competitor as it stands right now. I'll continue to monitor that gap between Surprise and Snazzy Evening. And I'm also watching this battle in 5th position. EVR Reynolds doing his best to try and close back up to the back of Veloce Surprise, but I have a feeling Surprise is just going to take off into the distance. And EVR Reynolds will probably fall into the clutches of Veloce Alonso, who has not had a great race. Starting from the third row of the grid, it was not the most fortuitous start for his Chinese Grand Prix, and he now finds himself coming under a threat for what is now 7th position, effectively 6th position. He's going to defend the inside line into turn 1, though, and he is going to manage to keep Apex Zero behind for now. Apex Zero coming back at him, though, in that Haas, and no, he's not going to be able to find a way past through at this point. John Salonika, still the only person that started on the mediums that's still running out there, as we saw Apex Leo come into the pits for a set of soft tires. He rejoins in 13th position, and with a 13-lap stint to do on that set of soft tires. 13-lap stint, P13, that sounds very unlucky to me.
Yeah, it may be. He may be quite quick to begin with on this stint, but he is going to be slightly pushing it. The guys on the softs did pit around, well, some pitted even on lap 9 when you consider, you look at Snazzy Evening, only stopped at 9. So he's got a bit of a tall order here, as Apex Leo, but I'm sure he's going to have to try and manage it as well as he possibly can. If he gets the fastest lap to begin with, then you're like, well, okay, well, he's quick now, but within 3 laps, he's going to have to really start conserving those tyres. Apex Zero is really putting Alonso under pressure.
Yeah, he really is. This is I'm very surprised, actually. Apex Zero, one of the names that I'm not familiar with. Veloce Alonso, certainly one of the names that I'm very familiar with, but Apex Zero keeping him honest, very, very close to the back of him as John Salonika now comes into the pits at the end of lap 16. So that's going to be a 12-lap stint on the soft compound tires. I think that's a little bit more reasonable than the 13-lap stint of Apex Leo. Sticking on board with Apex Zero, though, in the Haas. The other Haas moves himself up into the top 6 after John Salonika's pit and gets very, very close to the back of Veloce Alonso. Let's have a quick look at our leading pair, and Snazzy Evening's not dropping off the back. Surprise isn't really gaining on them, though. It was about 2.5 seconds before. It's now 2.8, so he's actually lost about 0.3 of a second or thereabouts to Snazzy Evening. So it seems that Surprise, maybe not on the charge that he would have wanted, but you know, we can only guess as to what he's doing. He might be working on saving some saving his tire life, and just trying to maintain that gap for now and try to launch an attack later on in the season. We can only guess on what his plan is. EVR Reynolds is just outside the DRS zone on Surprise, so won't be a threat at the end of the DRS straight. So I think it's going to be between Apex Zero and Alonso are going to be the ones to watch at the end of this DRS zone, because, again, I have a feeling Snazzy Evenings, oh yeah, he's definitely too far back, not going to be making an overtake here. But Apex Zero, marginal. He's closing pretty quickly here on Alonso, but no, they're into the braking zone already, and he's still a few car lengths back. Oh, very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo, but no side-by-side just yet.
Not just yet, but I'm interested to see Reynolds, actually. He hasn't exactly fallen away off Surprise. He's staying quite close with him. It's within a second, but now just having to reel that gap back in to the Alfa Romeo. This will be a big shock, really, if Reynolds is able to get into tabs with Surprise, because we know how quick Surprise is. Reynolds has shown glimpses in league race, well, I'm sure he won't mind me for saying it. He's had some great moments in league racing, but especially against guys like this would be, well, a standout moment for him. And, well, Leicester City, the team he supports, have always been a team full of shocks. It'll be interesting to see if he can shock his opposition here in the form of Flotche Surprise.
That would be quite the shock for sure. He's just fallen out of DRS range, though. He's moving in and out all throughout the lap, losing time, gaining time, so on and so forth. John Salonika actually is very close to the back of Apex Leo, which is kind of unfortunate for both of these guys, because what they want to be doing right now is making overtakes on medium runners. They really don't want to be battling each other for P12. That's certainly not going to get them any sort of points or anything, so I imagine that's not what they want. Oh, as Reynolds, what has gone on there? Reynolds dropped back, but then I think that was a timing issue, if I'm not mistaken. I nearly pulled the Crofty there, but I think he's okay. I think he's okay for now, but he is, again, within DRS range of Surprise.
Yeah, just keeping that gap, just maintaining it for now, and he knows, let's just manage that ARS for now, and there will be points in this race with about 9 or so laps to go, where he's going to have his opportunities to really reel in Surprise, but he's just got to take these opportunities when they arise as well. He can't be too hesitant. With 9 laps to go, he's got to be on it, and he's got a bit of ARS left in the tank, but not a lot. The Surprise has got, well, he's not got exactly a lot either, so they're quite balanced on that sense. It's going to be purely just how well they use the fuel mixtures and the DRS, the tow and the lines that they get through that long turn 13. I think that's going to be the most crucial thing for those guys in the race. And actually also the quick thing as well, I think Alanika was passed or jumped by Apex Leo in the pits there. So that's quite big for those two, because there was about a 4-second gap between them. So Alanika's lost that one.
Yeah, definitely lost out on that one for sure. And again, he now finds himself stuck behind the Haas of Apex Leo, which has got to be incredibly frustrating on a fresh set of soft tires in the late stages of this Chinese Grand Prix. Apex Zero within 6/10, almost within 5/10 actually, of Velache Alonso as they round turn 13 and make their way onto the DRS straight. The Haas will, of course, get the DRS here, and the line's coming up now. But again, I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough. He's closer this time than he was when I was on board with him a couple of laps ago. But again, it's just a little bit too far away. He gets very close under braking to the back of that Alfa Romeo, but it's just not quite enough. Good exit out of turn 14 and 15 into the final corner now. And running a little bit wide onto the curbing DRS, of course, again for the Haas. He's closing ever so slightly, but again, they're just going to run out of straight before he can actually pull alongside Alonso. So he's another one that's going to have to try something a little bit different here. Alonso's very deep, though, into turn 2. Does find his line, though, and sets it up for turn 3 as Apex Leo, unsurprisingly, sets the fastest lap of the race on those new soft tires. Still 17 cars remaining in this Chinese Grand Prix. And the two soft runners both outside the top 10 as it stands right now. I'm sure looking to remedy that fact. It is still about 5 seconds up to Pietro Mato in 11th position for Apex Leo. That fastest lap will get him a little bit closer, of course, to the back of that Ferrari, but it's going to be difficult for him. By the time he does catch that Ferrari, will he have enough tire life to actually make the overtake? We'll have to wait and find out. Snazzy Evening is going to be heading onto the DRS straight pretty shortly here. Yeah, right now, just coming through turns 12 and 13. Again, though, I don't think he has the straight line speed. He's several car lengths back from CRG Evo, nearly 6/10 before they even get to the DRS activation zone. So, I mean, at this point, Snazzy Evening hasn't made the overtake yet. Hasn't even really threatened to make the overtake. So, I'm starting to wonder if he's ever going to, because, of course, as the laps tick down, Evo's probably going to be faster. He's more kind on his tires. He doesn't have the dirty air effect, and his tires are 2 laps fresher. Alonso and Zero, though, trading positions and then trading them back once again. Alonso maintains that 5th place position. Apex Zero back down into 6th position. So a bit of side-by-side for them at the end of the DRS straight. Let's see if Zero can make it happen into turn 1. He's much closer this time, but no, again, not quite close enough. Snazzy Evening very close to Evo, to the back of Evo through turns 3 and 4. But similar sort of situation, just not able to really mount that challenge that he would love to mount if he could.
Absolutely. I'm interested though what you said about Snazzy Evenings. When will he make the overtake? If he does make the overtake, obviously we know the tyre difference is a little bit vast. And you're right. I think if he is going to make an overtake, he has to be for the next couple of laps, or else his tyres are just going to be completely gone by the end. We know, as you say, what Evo's like on his tyres. So Snazzy even needs to get a move on here. He's not exactly got loads of DRS left, and again, mistakes like that. He's made a few of those today, coming out of turn. That is turn 10. Just really does struggle coming out of the exit of that corner, getting onto the AstroTurf, and it just affects his overall run. Once again, he's 6/10 behind the Renault of Evo here, so he's not really mounting any sort of challenge to the back of that Renault. But, you know, this man I've seen in league races in the past can spring a surprise, so he may well spring one once again here today. But we've got 7 laps to change that, and he's going to have to do it very, very soon.
Apex Zero right up to the back of Velace Alonso, and it looks like Alonso's not going to defend the inside line into the turn 14 hairpin. Apex Zero puts his nose in there, gets alongside, gets the better exit, and job done, actually. Nice move from Apex Zero up into the top 5 and a double-digit points-paying position that would be for him as CRG Simon moves ahead of the Toro Rosso of Frentzen and up into 9th position. So the race not quite over for CRG Simon, and of course, wanting to get maximum points for CRG. You know, he's not just going to give up. He's going to gain absolutely as many positions as he can in this race just to try to pick up as many points as he possibly can. Velace currently, though, running in 3rd and 6th as it stands right now after Apex Zero made that overtake for 5th position on Alonso. We are on lap 22 now, so 6 laps remaining after this one is finished. So really, really getting into the tail end of this Chinese Grand Prix. And Apex Zero pulling away ever so slightly on Alonso. He's not rocking off into the distance with no problems. Alonso's keeping within DRS range. But he certainly seemed like the quicker driver out of the two. Oh, definitely quicker through 11 and 12 there. Building a nice gap over 7/10, almost 8/10 as they get into the braking zone for turn 11. Alonso is going to pick up the DRS here, but Apex Zero certainly seems like the faster of the two drivers at this stage of the race.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think that DRS does play a massive effect around here. Like, if you can break it, it's just game over for the car behind. It really is. It's so difficult without DRS around here just to get that little bit closer than you would like. And Alonso, you can see there, even being within DRS range, you just can't get the move done. Because if you're about 6 to about 8/10 of a second behind the car in front, even with DRS, you're not going to get anywhere near them to make an overtake. So DRS really does play his effect around here, and you're seeing it once again. But Snazzy Evening, once again, sticking right with the back, onto the back of CRG Evo. It's just moving around a couple of tenths now. It's not really moving. It's staying pretty much as it was. But that's going to be a very tight end, China.
And I think Simon just lost a bunch of time to most Ronan. That's going to put him with Frentzen right behind him. Pietro Mato as well, too, within striking distance of the other Renault, currently running around in 9th position. So not been a great day for CRG Simon. I thought I saw what looked like some spits of rain there, but that might just be my old eyes playing tricks on me, potentially. But I thought I saw some spits of rain going into turn 6. But Simon really struggling today. This is not one of his better drives for sure. And I think Simon would be probably the first person to agree with you on that one. Snazzy Evening still going to be way too far back to mount any sort of attack on CRG Evo as he gets into the DRS zone now. He maybe is just happy to follow Evo behind and keep that gap between himself and Surprise. And then maybe right at the final lap, something like that, we'll see him make that overtake. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen AOR Esports broadcasts with a late race move from a McLaren on the final lap for the lead of a race. For those that might have remembered when that happened a couple of years back now. But Surprise with a 3.3 second gap. EVR Reynolds with a 2.3 second gap up ahead to Surprise, and then a further 2 seconds down to Apex Zero. So, as I mentioned earlier, Reynolds kind of now at this stage of the race running around pretty lonely. If he makes a mistake, he will absolutely fall into the clutches of Zero and Alonso without question. But he does seem to have the pace to maintain that gap. Really not coming under threat. He's not threatening Surprise anymore, however, though. So I think 4th is probably going to be the maximum that he can manage here today. as the gaps have started to spread out a little. We do still have a couple of drivers within DRS range, Valache Alonso being one of them. He's actually less than 3/10 off the back of the Haas as they make their way through the left-hander of turn 7. And he was actually gaining time through turn 7 there. He's still gaining time through the double left-handers of 9 and 10. And it seems that the Alfa Romeo much better that time. Apex Zero feeling the need to go defensive even into turn 11. That's not something you see very often. Yeah, I think we might be on for a move here. Alonso really setting up Apex Zero here for a move.
No, he is. He is really trying to set him up. He's slicing and dicing him. He's moving in one way, then another. He doesn't know where to go. Just the Haas. He's almost being pinned into a corner here because Alonso is charging. Look at him weaving down the straight. It's similar to that of Vitaly Petrov and Lewis Hamilton all those years ago. And he can't quite get the move done there. Get Alonso into the braking zone. But Apex Zero is starting to feel the heat, starting to feel the pressure. One thing that we haven't picked up on is Surprise's penalty. He does have a penalty. We did pick up on it. But yeah, but the one thing is, Mr. Reynolds sat behind him, doesn't have any, well, he has warnings, but he hasn't got a penalty as of yet. So at the moment, Reynolds is on the roster.
Wow, that is impressive stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen EVR Reynolds on the podium in the Apex Online Racing F1 League on the Xbox platform. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before, so that would be really something. I was not aware of Surprise's penalty. Probably something I missed while other action was going on circuit. We're sticking with Alonso, though, because he really does seem like the driver that's most likely to make an overtake in the closing stages of this Chinese Grand Prix. CRG Simon, though, as I mentioned, is right up to the back of most Ronan, so we could still see some more midfield changes of position going on here. Snazzy Evening is looking as far back, really, as he has at any point during this race. He is still picking up the DRS here, but at no point, really, in the last 10 laps has he, or at least the last 5 laps or so, has he really threatened CRG Evo for the lead of this race. Let's have a quick look. You can see his ERS deployment and battery life and stuff like that there. Let's switch over to Evo. Evo's is actually very similar. So very, very similar battery life between Evo and Snazzy Evening. I was wondering if maybe one of them was saving some battery for later in the race to just try and pull a gap and give themselves that little bit of safety. But no, they're both pushing as hard as they possibly can. Oh, Simon.
Oh, Simon's gone for a move on the inside, in towards the penultimate corner. Most Ronan covers it off nicely there in the Toro Rosso and stays ahead of the lunging Renault, who couldn't quite get the move done. The Toro Rosso just yet, but he's going to have a good run coming down towards turn 1. And where will Simon get this move done? If he does get this move done, and Smudge Ronan is sticking very much to the inside line. That's where he wants to be, but Simon's around the outside of him into turn 1, and surely the CRG driver's got through. The Toro Rosso's forced him out wide, and Simon will have to try again.
Yeah, he's gotten a better entry to turn 3. Is that going to give him the exit that he needs to mount an attack into the turn 6 hairpin? He's on pretty high deployment at the moment. Most Ronan defends the inside line into turn 6, and that is enough to keep the Renault of CRG Simon behind. But, oh, Simon with a fantastic exit, actually, out of that hairpin. He's going to try around the outside of 7, but no, that's not going to work. The Toro Rosso bouncing around a little bit there. I apologize for the lag issues. I am clear across the planet from most of these players, so that is probably the reason for that, as Reynolds...
Yeah, it's just pure lag from Ronan.
Yeah, it looks like Reynolds doing some more lagging as well, too, as he dropped down to 6th briefly and then moved back up into 4th with the exact same gap. Apex Zero, though, actually has gotten within DRS range of EVR Reynolds. 2 laps to go. We're about to start the penultimate lap of this race, and EVR Reynolds, at least very briefly there, or excuse me, Apex Zero very briefly there was within DRS range of EVR Reynolds, and remember, Surprise does have that penalty. So can Apex Zero find his way onto the podium? Less than 2 laps remaining in this Chinese Grand Prix. He's having to defend from Valache Alonso. Alonso's going to try to go around the outside at turn 1. We've seen in the past how well or how likely that is to work out. He's coming back at him at the exit of turn 2. Not going to work there either for him. So this appears to be the battle to watch. And EVR Reynolds should actually be thanking Valache Alonso, because I think that may have dropped Apex Zero out of Reynolds' DRS zone. So I think Reynolds might be more safe now than he was before, thanks to Alonso.
Yeah, but he's going to be right on the cusp, though, for Reynolds if he wants to podium in this Grand Prix, because he's 500ths of a second. It's ever increasing between him and Surprise, but it's just teetering over that 3-second mark. he needs to push now, does Reynolds, because he has got a big chance of a big result to beat Veloce Surprise, courtesy of the penalty, but he has to get a move on with just a lap to go.
And here's what the battery and deployment and everything looks like for EVR Reynolds, and here's what it looks like for Surprise. Reynolds does have a little bit more battery life than Surprise, and he's using lots of it on this very long straight in order to keep away from Apex Zero, who again was just almost within DRS range. Alonso's very close to the back of that Haas, but it can't quite pull alongside as they get into the braking zone for the turn 14 hairpin. So Apex Zero stays ahead for now, and again, he's just outside the DRS range. I apologize, the two Toro Rossos are having an intense battle, it seems, for 9th position, but I really don't want to turn away from this. Alonso around the outside at turn 1. It really hasn't worked for anyone at any stage of this race, and it looks like it's going to be the exact same situation for the Alfa Romeo. Makes contact with the back of that Haas as they get into turn 3, coming out of turn 4 now, and Apex Zero is going to maintain that 5th place position. EVR Reynolds continues to drop back off of Surprise, so it looks like that podium position might be just a fleeting wish at this point, because it is now 3.4 seconds between himself and Surprise. MX Apex Zero is probably going to be trying just as hard to defend from Alonso as he is trying to get into the DRS range of EVR Reynolds, and I wonder if Reynolds' tires have just dropped off. He is on 1 lap older tires compared to Apex Zero, and that could be part of it, but he's on the same tire life as Surprise, so Snazzy Evening, meanwhile, has dropped well outside the DRS range, so he seems to have had some sort of mistake, or his tires are just absolutely destroyed as well, too. Veloce Surprise, though, continues to extend that gap down to EVR Reynolds, so it does look like it's going to be Evo that leads Snazzy Evening and Veloce Surprise at the end of this race. As well, I think Alonso is going to be a little bit too far back from MX Apex Zero, and that DRS for the Haas surely is what helped him to defend that, but it is going to be the Renault of CRG Evo that crosses the line in first position. Snazzy Evening in a very well-deserved 2nd position for that McLaren team, less than 1.5 seconds adrift. Veloce Surprise does, in the end, by less than 7/10, manage to claim that final podium position, but still a great result for Reynolds, it must be said.
Yeah, it's a great result. He'll be very happy with 4th, but I think for him it's going to be a race of what could have been, and could have been on the podium. He was so close with a couple of laps to go. You know what? 4th is a good result for a great result for the Fat Esports team, but it's just a shame, really. It would have been nice to see maybe a different podium sitter in AOR, and Reynolds could well have been that, as we see the final few cars flurry across the line. Tyrrell Button, ESR amazed, and it's been a slightly frustrating day in the office for the Williams drivers. Very realistic, has to be said, but they finished last.
Yeah, not a great day for the Williams cars, you have to say. But it was a fantastic day for CRG Evo. Just really enjoyed that drive from him. I mean, that was about as good as it gets. He had a difficult time making that overtake early on Surprise, but in the end, with the strategy, does come out on top and gets an extra 10 points compared to Surprise, who was down in 3rd position. But yeah, the McLaren in 2nd, a fantastic result, as we said. And I imagine all 3 of those teams are going to be very... Oh, Ben Daly, out of nowhere. But yeah, all 3 of those teams are going to be very happy with that result. I imagine CRG Simon probably a little bit disappointed. He would have liked to have been further up the order. I guess we're going to take a quick look at the final results once again, just so that we can run through them again. So it is Evo, Snazzy Evening, and Surprise are your podium finishers. Despite that 3-second penalty for Veloce Surprise, EVR Reynolds picking up 12 championship points. Apex Zero in 5th position with Veloce Alonso in 6th, down with a 3-second time penalty. Kowalski in the Ferrari, leading Ferrari for today, also with a 3-second time penalty in 7th. CRG Simon, in the end, did move up into 8th position. He was down in 9th, so he effectively doubled his points haul for today's race after making that overtake. And then Frentzen in the Toro Rosso in 9th position. And Apex Leo, actually, one of the 2 medium runners, does manage to get into the top 10, getting ahead of the Toro Rosso of Most Ronan due to a 3-second time penalty. So both Haas cars into the points. So not a terrible day for them. But I believe, You might know better than me here, Diablo, but I believe we're gonna be doing interviews now with the drivers. Is that right?
Well, I certainly hope so. If they have Discord, it'd be a good start. I'd like to think that they all do, but I hope they're all listening to the stream as well, because I don't have any of them.
Yep, nobody's in Discord just yet, but yeah, that was the plan anyway, was to interview some drivers. So hopefully we'll get a couple of drivers that come into Discord and use. We want PG language, obviously. You know, we don't want to anger any viewers with naughty language. So hopefully we can hear from some people with some nice things to say. That would be fantastic if we could do that. But we'll give it a little bit of time. But man, that really was an incredible race. I mean, at one point, in the early stages of the race, we had what, 6 cars that were all battling for the lead. Very tight.
6-7 cars. It was very, very close. I was surprised in many ways to see just how close it was. And the pit stops really made that race, I think. Surprise was very much in control, but as the tyres went off in the first stint, it was the pit stops that made the big difference. And from there onwards, Surprise really couldn't seem to find any sort of. Well, he had the pace. He passed Reynolds in the end. He did struggle to try and close up to Snazzy Evening and Evo, and I think that was just due down to DRS usage and how effective it is around here, how you're able to just drag another car along. Anyways, it's like karting. In karting, you're very much always within a buffer of another car behind. You sort of drag each other along. Or if you're, I don't really want to use even NASCAR, you see that car. Mm-hmm. 2 cars are dragging each other along. So it was very similar to, in many ways. It's not great to see when DRS does play that sort of effect. It doesn't allow for closer racing, quote unquote. But nevertheless, it's a fine drive from Evo and Snaz. And of course,
I think we only saw 2 overtakes where DRS was, enough to just get them by. I'm pretty sure I remember just 2 overtakes on the main straight where they just kind of breezed on by. One of those was EVR Reynolds losing a position, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's always good to see DRS working properly, getting people alongside each other and not just past one another. So that's always what we like to see. I'm not sure if that graphic is right. Isn't there a race tomorrow on the 20th on Wednesday? I thought the next race was on Wednesday.
The PS4 is on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
PS4 is on Thursday at 8 o'clock, I think, something like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. 8 p.m. 21st of March. Almost said 31st. 21st of March, 8 p.m. is the next broadcast. I'm still filling time and just chatting, hoping that somebody will come in and talk to us. But it seems we might not be very popular tonight. Unfortunately, we might not get any drivers coming in to talk about that. I know usually on Sundays I get CRG Simon coming in to tell us how excited he was to win that race when he does win the races. He usually comes in, even if he comes on the podium. But I think we're probably not going to be getting anybody today, but that's okay. That's all right. The drivers put on a fantastic show for us. And again, today, I apologize if this wasn't my absolute best effort. This was kind of thrown together last minute. I wasn't planning on streaming this today, but here we are. I managed to get through it. So that is going to do it for the AOR Esports Teams Tournament on the Xbox One platform for week number 2. Thanks to Diablo, of course. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
It was my absolute pleasure. And again, thank you to the drivers for putting on that fantastic show. Congrats to our podium finishers. And thanks to you, the viewers, for tuning in. And make sure you tune in 2 days' time on the 21st of March at 8 p.m. for the PS4 side of the esports tournament. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.